Hi everyone, welcome to Carmen's Australian Storytime. Today I'm reading The Potato People, written by Pamela Allen. Very curious as to who the potato people are. Let's see if the blurb can help us. Every Friday, Jack spends the day with his grandma. They romp roly-poly on the ground. They read stories and they eat cake. Then one cold and rainy Friday, they make the Potato People. The blurb. Jack's grandma sounds super fun. I have never played roly-poly with my grandma. Have you? I wonder what potato people are. I'm really excited to read this book to you today and find out what Jack and his grandma are up to. Every Friday, Jack's mother works. Every Friday, Jack spends the day with Grandma. This is Grandma's house. Visual clues. Do you sometimes get to spend time with your grandparents while your parents or carers go to work? It looks like Jack's grandma lives in the country. I can tell this because there are no neighbours and there are big hills behind the house. You don't see that in the city. They play hide and seek. They romp roly-poly on the ground. They read stories and they eat cake. That would be my favourite part. It really looks like Jack and Grandma have a lot of fun together. Draw a picture of something fun that you do with a grandparent. One Friday, the clouds were big and black, and the rain dribbled down the window panes and rattled on the tin roof. "It's raining," sighed Jack. "I know," said Grandma. Making inferences. When you infer something, it means you figure out what is going on without actually being told. Can you figure out how Jack might be feeling about the rain? I know that if you sigh, it usually means you are not happy. Why do you think Jack is not happy about the rain? You are right, it means they have to stay inside. No doing fun stuff outside today. And she went to the cupboard and brought out a big box. Inside the box were 4 potatoes. Making predictions. What do you think they will do with 4 potatoes? Eat them? Throw them away? Paint with them? Roll them around? These are all questions. A question means you need to respond with an answer, and they have a funny symbol at the end of them that looks like this. "I'm going to make a little potato man," said Jack. "I'm going to make a little potato woman," said Grandma. And they did. Grandma placed them carefully on the windowsill. "There," said Grandma. "There," said Jack. "They look pleased with each other," said Grandma. "We're pleased with each other too," said Jack. "These potato people look fantastic. I really like the way they have labelled the items they used to make them, because it gives me ideas of things I could use if I wanted to make them as well. It looks like fun." Then one day, Jack and his mother had to go away for a while. That Friday, Jack didn't come. He didn't come the Friday after that, or the Friday after that. Lots of Fridays went by, and still Jack didn't come to visit Grandma. Gradually the little potato people wrinkled and withered. Gradually their smiles drooped and twisted. Now Grandma called them the little old potato man and the little old potato woman. She looked at herself in the mirror. "I'm just like them," thought Grandma, and she sat down and she sighed. Poor Grandma, she is really missing Jack. It makes you really sad when you don't get to see the people you love. This is happening a lot to people now because of the virus that is going around. What could you do if you can't see the person you love right now? One day a stalk sprouted on the head of the little old man. "He's growing horns," thought Grandma. Then a stalk sprouted on the head of the little old woman. She's growing horns too," thought Grandma. The horns grew and grew. Making connections. Who had the idea to turn the potatoes into people? Yes, it was Jack. Have you ever turned a potato into something else? At school we read this book and then we decided we would make a whole class of potato people. One of our children even made a Donald Trump potato. We had a great time making them. Why don't you have a go at it as well? At last Grandma could bear it no longer. She said goodbye to the little old potato man and the little old potato woman, and she buried them outside in the compost heap. But Jack didn't know, because Jack wasn't there. Grandma decides to get busy while Jack is away. What is a compost heap? A compost heap is where you throw your food waste and any debris like leaves and twigs. Over time, it decays or breaks down and eventually becomes soil again, so you can add it to your garden to help you grow things. It is much better than throwing your scraps into the bin. Soon a shoot appeared above the ground, then another and another. Up they grew, up they grew, until they were so high that Grandma couldn't see over the top. "Tambourines and treacle tarts!" exclaimed Grandma. Grandma was not expecting to see things growing out of her compost heap. What do you think has happened to the potato people? I think their roots have grown and now they are growing up out of the ground as well. At last, one Friday, when the clouds were big and black and the rain dribbled down the window panes and rattled on the tin roof, there was a knock at the door. "Jack!" gasped Grandma, and they hugged and hugged. They played hide and seek. They romped roly-poly on the ground. They read stories and, you guessed it, they ate cake. Making connections. Do you love to go to your grandparents' house? What do you like to do with them? I loved cooking with mine, and then we would have a tea party and eat the food we had made. "Grandma," asked Jack, "what happened to our little potato people?" "I buried them outside in the compost heap," said Grandma, "and they grew and grew." "Let's go and look," said Jack. So they put on their raincoats, pulled on their gumboots, and went out in the rain to see. Grandma looks excited to show Jack what happened to the potato people. Do you think Jack will be surprised? But all they could see were the stalks, now brown and dead, lying on top of the ground. The big green stalks that Grandma was growing have all died. Oh no, they can't see what we can see. I love this drawing because it is showing us the potatoes, but we know that Jack and his grandma can't see them yet. They think the potato plants have died, but that is actually when you start to dig for them. My class knows that it takes 100 days for this to happen. So Grandma fetched a big fork, and Jack fetched a little fork, and they dug, and they dug, and they dug. First, Grandma found one potato, then Jack found 2 potatoes. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato more, sang Grandma. They found big potatoes and they found little potatoes. It is so exciting when you grow something in the garden and it is finally ready to be picked. Do you have a garden at home? Our class researched how long it would take to grow potatoes. Did you know it takes 100 days? That's a long time to wait for the potatoes, isn't it? Soon there were hundreds and hundreds of potatoes. "Tambourines and treacle tarts!" exclaimed Grandma, activating prior knowledge. Do you think that this is possible? That is certainly a lot of potatoes. When our class dug up our potatoes, we only had 8, but we cut them up and cooked them so we could all have some potato chips with our lunch. They tasted so delicious. But this is certainly a lot of potatoes. When there were no more potatoes left to dig, they hung up their forks, They took off their raincoats, they put away their gumboots, they washed their hands, and Grandma dried her hair. Have you ever been caught in the rain? Did you have your gumboots and raincoat on? I love it when I get to come inside and dry off and get warm. Draw a picture of a time you were out in the rain. Grandma, said Jack. Yes, said Grandma. Let's make a little potato man and a little potato woman. And they did. Jack had so much fun last time they made the potato people. He wants to make them again. What do you think he could do differently this time? What would you turn your potato into? Thanks so much for joining me today to read The Potato People. I hope you like this book and that you have a go at making a potato person and then try growing your own potatoes. Please comment and subscribe if you liked this story, and I look forward to reading to you again soon.